Chapter 10 Saint Nicholas and Saint Valentine. What are the children all doing today? Said Katy, laying down Norway and the Norwegian, which she was reading for the fourth time. I haven't seen them since breakfast. Uneasy, who was sewing on the other side of the room, looked up from her work. I don't know, she said. They're over at Ceci or somewhere. They'll be back before long, I guess. Her voice sounded a little odd and mysterious, but Katy didn't notice it. I thought of such a nice plan yesterday, she went on. That was that all of them should hang their stocking up here tomorrow night instead of the nursery. Then I could see them open their presents, you know. Mind they uneasy, it will be real fun. I don't believe there will be any objection, replied her aunt. She looked as if she were trying not to allow Katy wondered what was the matter with her. It was more than 2 months now since Cousin Helen went away, and winter had fairly come. Snow was falling outdoors. Katy could see the thick flakes go whirling past the window, but the sight did not chill her. It only made the room look warmer and more cozy. It was a pleasant room now. There was a bright fire in the grate. Everything was neat and orderly. The air was sweet with mignonette from a little glass of flour which stood on the table, and the Katy who lay in bed was a very different looking Katy from forlorn girl of the last chapter. Cousin Helen's visit, though it lasted only one day, did great good. Not that Katy grew perfect all at once. Not of us do that, even in books. But it is everything to be started in the right path. Katy's feet were on it now, and though she often stumbled and often sat down discouraged, she kept on pretty steadily in spite of bad days, which made her say to herself that she was not getting forward at all. These bad days when everything second hard, and she herself was cross and fretful, and drove the children out of the moon, caused Katy many bitter tears, but after them she would pick herself up and try again and harder, and I think that in spite of drawbacks, the little scholar on the wall was learning her lesson pretty well. Cousin Helen was a great comfort all this time. She never forgot Katy. Nearly every week some little thing came from her. Sometimes it was a pencil note written from her sofa, sometimes it was an interesting book, or a new magazine, or some pretty little thing from the room. The crimson wrapper which Katy wore was one of her presents, so were the bright chromes of autumn leaf which hung on the walls, the little stand for the books, all sort of things. Katy loved to look about her as she lay. All the moon seemed full of Cousin Helen and her kindness. I wish I had something pretty to put into everybody's stocking, she went on wistfully, but I've only got the Muppets for Papa and this ring for Phil. She took them from under her pillow as she spoke. Gay worsted affairs with bells screwed on here and there. She had knitted them herself a very little bit at a time. That's my princess, she said. Suddenly, I might give that to Clapper. I only wore it once, you know, and I don't think I got any spots on it. Will you please fetch it and let me see? Uneasy, it's in the top drawer. Uneasy blocked the sash. It proved to be quite fresh, and I would said that it would do nicely for Clover. You know, I someone says for ever so long, said Katy, in a rather sad tone, and this is a beauty. When she spoke next, her voice was bright again. I wish I had something real nice for Elsie. Do you know, Uneasy? I think that Elsie is the dearest little girl that ever was. I'm glad you found it out, said Uneasy, who had always been especially fond of Elsie. What she wants most of all is a writing desk, continued Katy, and Johnny wants a sled, but oh dear, those are such a big thing, and I only got $2.25. Uneasy marched out of the room without saying anything. When she came back, she had something folded up in her hand. I didn't know what to give you for Christmas, Katy, she said, because Helen sends you such a lot of things that there don't seem to be anything you haven't already, so I thought I'd give you this and let you choose for yourself. But if you set your heart on getting present for the children, perhaps you rather have it now. So saying uneasy laid on the bed a crisp new $5 bill. How good you are, cried Katy, flushed with pleasure, and indeed uneasy did seem to have grown wonderfully good of late. Perhaps Katy had got hold of her smooth handle, being now in possession of $7 and a quarter. Katy could afford to be gloriously generous. She gave Uneasy an exact description of the desk she wanted. It's no matter about this being very big, said Katy, but it must have a blue velvet lining and an extend with a silver top. And please buy some little sheet of paper and envelopes a pen handle, the prettiest you can find. Oh, and there must be a lock and key, don't forget that, Uneasy. I like the slide to be green, went on Katy, and to have a nice name. Skyscraper will be nice if there was one. Johnny saw a sled once, called Skyscraper, and she said it was splendid, and if there's money enough left, Auntie, won't you buy me a really nice book for Dory, and another for Jessie, and a silver thimble for Mary. Her old one is full of holes. Oh, and some candy, and something for Debbie and Bridget. Some little thing, I think that's all. Was ever $7 and a quarter expected to do so much? Uneasy must have been a witch indeed to make it all out, but she did. And next day, all the precious bundles came home. How Katy enjoyed untying the string. Everything was exactly right. There wasn't any skyscraper set on Easy, so I got snow skim instead. It's beautiful and I like it just as well, said Katy confidently. Oh, hi Tem, she cried with sudden terror. Somebody coming! But the somebody was only Papa Wu, but he sat into the room as uneasy, laden with bundles scattered across the hall. Katy was glad to catch him alone. She had a little private secret to talk over with him. It was about uneasy for whom she as yet had no present. I thought perhaps you get me a book like that one of Cousin Helen, which uneasy like so much, she said. I don't recollect the name exactly. It was something about a shadow, but I spent all my money. Never mind about that, said Dr. Carl. We make that right. The shadow of the cross was that it. I bought it this afternoon. Oh, thank you, Papa. And please get a brown cover if you can, because Cousin Helen was a brown and you want it uneasy now, will you? Be careful, Papa. I swallowed the book first, brown cover and all, said Papa, making a funny face. He was pleased to see Katy so interested about anything again. These delightful secrets took up so much of her thoughts that Katy scarcely found time to wonder at the absence of the children, who generally haunted her room, but who for 3 days back had hardly been seen. However, after supper, they all came up in a body looking very merry and as if they had been good time somewhere. You don't know what we've been doing, began Billy. Hush, Bill, said Clover in a warning voice. Then she divided the stocking which she held in her hand, and everybody proceeded to hang them up. Dory hung his on one side of the fireplace, and John hers exactly opposite. Clovers and Bill suspended there side by side on two handles of the bureau. I'm going to put mine here, close to Katy, so that she can see it for the first thing in the morning, said Elsie, pinning her to the bedpost. Then they all sat down round the fire to write their wishes on bits of paper and see whether they would burn or fly up the chimney. If they did the latter, it was a sign that Santa Claus had them safe and will bring the things wished for. John wished for a sled and a doll to sit, and the continuation of this wish from Robinson. Dory Liz renters a plum cake, a new Bible, Harry and Lucy, a kaleidoscope, everything else Santa Claus likes. When they had written this list, they threw them into the fire. The fire gave a flicker just then, and the papers vanished. Nobody saw exactly how. John thought they flew up the chimney, but Dory said they didn't. Bill dropped his piece in very solemnly. It flamed for a minute, then sank into ashes. There, you won't get it, Whatever it was, said Dory. What do you write, Bill? Nothing, sighed Bill. Only just spirit card. The children shouted. I would not writing this on mine, remarked Elsie sorrowfully, but it all burned up. Katy chuckled when she heard this, and now Clover produced her list. She read aloud. Strive and thrive. A pair of kid gloves, a muff, and a good temper. Then she dropped it into the fire. Behold, it flew straight up the chimney. Oh, queer, said Katy. None of the rest of them did that. The truth was that Clover, who was a canny little mortal, had slipped across the room and opened the door just before putting her wishes in. This, of course, made a joke and sent the paper right upward. Pretty soon, Uneasy came in and swept them out of the bed. I know how it will be in the morning, she said. You'll be up and resting about as soon as it is like, so you must get your sleep now, if ever. After they had gone, Katy recollected that nobody had offered to hang a stocking up for her. She felt a little hurt when she thought of it, but I suppose they forgot, she said to herself. A little later, Papa and Uneasy came in, and they filled the stocking. It was great fun. It was brought to Katy as she lay in bed, that she might arrange it as she liked. The toys were stuffed with candy and orange. Then came the parcel, all shapes and sizes, tied in white paper with ribbon and label. What's that? Asked Dr. Carl, as Uneasy rammed a long, narrow package into Clover's stocking. A nail brush, answered Uneasy. Clover needed a new one. Oh, Papa and Katy laughed. I don't believe Santa Claus ever had such a thing before, said Dr. Carl. He's a very dirty old gentleman then, observed Uneasy grimly. The desk and set were too big to go into any stocking, so they were wrapped in paper and hung beneath the other thing. It was 10 o'clock before all was done, and Papa and Uneasy went away. Katy lay a long time watching the queer shapes of the stocking legs as they dangled in the firelight. Then she fell asleep. It seemed only a minute before something touched her and woke her up. Behold, it was daytime, and there was Billy in his nightgown climbing up on the bed to kiss her. The rest of the children, half dressed, were dancing about with their stocking in their hand. Merry Christmas, they cried. Oh, Katy, such beautiful, beautiful things. Oh, shrieked Elsie, who at the moment spied her desk. Santa Claus did bring it after all. What is God? From Katy, written on it. Oh, Katy, it's so sweet. And I'm so happy. And Elsie hugged Katy and sobbed for pleasure. But what was that strange thing beside the bed? Katy started and rubbed her eyes. It certainly had not been there when she went to sleep. How had it come? It was a little evergreen tree planted in a red flower pot. The pot had strips of gilt paper stuck on it, and gilt stars and crosses, which made it look very gay. The bulk of the tree were hung with orange and nuts and shiny red apples and popcorn balls and string of blackberries. There were also a number of little packages tied with blue and crimson ribbon, and all together the tree looked so pretty that Katy gave a cry of delight and surprise. It's a Christmas tree for you because you're 6, said the children, all trying to hug her at once. We made it ourselves, said Dory, hopping about on one foot. I passed the black stars on the pot, and I popped the corn, cried Billy. Do you like it? Asked Elsie, crowding close to Katy. That's my present, that one tied with a green ribbon. I wish it was nicer. Don't you want to open them right away? Of course, Katy went too. All sorts of things came out of the little bundles. The children had unleashed every parcel themselves. No grown person had been out to help in the least. Elsie's present was a pen wiper with a grey flannel kitten on it. Johnny, a doll tea tray of satin. Isn't it beautiful? She said admiringly. Dory gift, I regret to say, was a hot red and yellow spider which felt windy when waved at the end of its string. They didn't want me to buy it, she said, but I did. I thought it will amuse you. Does it amuse you, Katy? Yes, indeed, said Katy, laughing and blinking as Dory waved the spider to and fro before her eyes. You can play with it when we are in here and you're all alone, you know, remarked Dory, highly gratified. But you don't notice what the tree is standing upon, said Clover. It was a chair, a very large and curious one, with a long cushioned back which ended in a footstool. That's Papa Present, said Clover. See, it's the black so as to be just like a bed, and Papa says he thinks pretty soon you can lie on it in the window where you can see us play. Does he really? Said Katy doubtfully. It still hurt her very much to be touched or moved. And she was tied to the arm of the chair, said Elsie. It was a little silver bell with Katy engraved on the handle. Cousin Helen sent it. It's for you to ring when anybody come, explained Elsie. More surprised, to the outer arm of the chair was fastened a beautiful book. It was the white word, and there was Katy name written on it. From affectionate Jessie. On it stood a great parcel of dry cherries from Mrs. Hall. Mr. Hall had the most delicious dried cherries the children took. How perfectly lovely everybody is, said Katy with grateful tears in her eyes. That was a pleasant Christmas. The children declared it to be the nicest they had ever had. And though Katy couldn't quite say that, she enjoyed it too and was very happy. It was several weeks before she was able to use the chair, but when once she became accustomed to it, it proved very comfortable. On easy would dress her in the morning, tip the chair back till it was on a level with the bed, and then very gently and gradually draw her over onto it. Wheeling across the room was always painful, but sitting in the window and looking out at the clouds, the people going by, and the children playing in the snow was delightful. How delightful nobody knows, expecting those who, like Katy, have lain for 6 months in bed without a peep at the outside of the world. Every day she grew brighter and more cheerful. How jolly Santa Claus was this year, she happened to say one day when she talking with Jessie. I wish another Santa would come and pay us a visit, but I don't know anymore except Cousin Helen, and she can. Tell Saint Valentine, suggested Jessie. Sure now, what a bright talk, cried Katy, clapping her hands. Oh, Jessie, let's do something funny on Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. Such a good idea just popped into my mind. So the two girls put their heads together and held a long, mysterious confabulation. What this was about we shall we falter on. Valentine's Day was the next Friday, when the children came home from school on Thursday afternoon. Uneasy met them, and to their great surprise, told them that Jessie was come to drink tea, and they must all go upstairs and be made nice. But Jessie come most every day, remarked Dory, who didn't see the connection between this spike and having his face washed. Yes, but the next you are to take tea in Katy's room, said Uneasy. Here are the invitations, one for each of you. Sure enough, there was a neat little note for each requesting the pleasure of their company at Queen Catherine Palace that afternoon at 6 o'clock. This put quite a different aspect on the affair. The children scampered upstairs, and pretty soon, all nicely brushed and washed, they were knocking formally at the door of the palace. How fine it sounded! The room looked bright and inviting. Katy in her chair sat close to the fire. Jessie was beside her, and there was a round table all set out with the white cloths and marks of milk and biscuit, and strawberry jam and doughnut. In the middle was a loaf of frosted cake. There was something on the icing which looked like pink letters and clover. Leaning forward, read aloud Saint Valentine. What's that for? Asked Dory. Why, you know this is Saint Valentine Eve, replied Katy. Debbie remembered it. I guess so she put that on. Nothing more was said about Saint Valentine just then, but when the last pink letter of his name had been eaten, and the supper had been cleared away suddenly, as the children sat by the fire, there was a loud rap at the door. Who can that be? Katy said. Please see, Clover. So Clover opened the door. There stood Bridget, trying very hard not to laugh and holding a letter in her hand. It's a note as she come for you, as has come for you, Miss Clover, she said, For me? Cried Clover, much amazed. Then she shut the door and brought the note to the table. "Oh, very funny!" she exclaimed as she looked at the envelope, which was a green and white one. There was something hard inside. Clover broke the seal, or tumbled a small green velvet pin cushion made in the shape of a clover leaf, with a tiny stem of wire wound with green silk. Pinned to the cushion was a paper with this words: "Some people love roses well. Tulip she gaily dressed. Some love violet as sweet. I love clover best. Talk she has a modest air. Talk no grace she boasts. Talk no gardener call her fair. I love clover most. Butterfly my passer-by, he is but a rover. Unfaithful, loving bee, and I stick to the clover." This was the first Valentine Clover had ever had. She was perfectly enchanted. "Oh, who do you suppose sent it?" she cried. But before anybody could answer, there came another loud knock at the door, which made them all jump. "Behold," breathed Jane, with a second letter. "It's for you, Miss Elsie, this time," she said with a grin. There was an instant rush from all the children, and the envelope was torn open in the twinkling of an eye. Inside was a little ivory seal with Elsie on it, all English letter, and this rhyme: I know a little girl, she is very dear to me. She is just as sweet as honey when she chooses so to be. And her name begins with E and ends with E. She has brown hair with curls and black eyes for to see, with teeth like tiny pearl, and dimples 1, 2, 3, and her name begins with E and ends with C. Her little feet run faster than other feet can flee, as she bruises quickly past. Her voice hums like a bee, and her name begins with E and ends with E. You ask me why I love her, then I shall answer T, because I can't help loving. She is so sweet to me, this little girl, whose name begins and ends with C. It's just like a fairy story, said Elsie, whose eyes had grown as big as saucers from surprise. Well, these words were being read aloud by Jessie. Another knock. This time there was a perfect handful of letters. Everybody had one. Katy, to her great surprise, had two. "Why, what can this be?" she said. But when she peeped into the second one, she saw Cousin Helen's handwriting, and she put it into her pocket till the Valentine should be read. Dory was open. First, it has the picture of a pie at the top. I thought to explain that Dory had lately been paying a visit to the dentist. Little Jack Horner sat in his corner, eating his Christmas pies, when a sudden grimace spread over his face, and he began loudly to cry. His tender mamma heard the sound from afar, and asked her to comfort her child. "What ailed it, my John?" she inquired in a tone which belied her question mark. "Oh, mother," he said, "every tooth in my head jumps and edges and is loose. Oh my, and it hurts me to eat anything that is sweet. So what will become of my pie?" It were fine to describe how he roared and he cried and howled like a miniature tempest. Suffice it to say that the very next day he had all his teeth pulled by a dentist. This Valentine made the children laugh for a long time. Johnny enveloped a paper doll named Red Riding Hood. These were the verses: "I send you my picture, dear Johnny, to show that I'm just as alive as you, and that you needn't cry over my fate any more as you used to do. The wolf didn't hurt me at all that day, for I kicked and fought and cried till he dropped me out of his mouth and ran away in the woods to hide. And Grandma and I have lived ever since in the little brown horse's small, and churned fresh butter and made cream cheeses, not seen the wolf at all. So cry no more for fear I'm eaten, the naughty wolf is shot, and if you will come to tea some evening, you shall see for yourself I'm not." Johnny was immensely pleased at this, for Red Riding Hood was a great favorite of hers. Billy had a bit of India rubber in his letter, which was written with very black ink on a big sheet of foolscap. "I was once a naughty man, and I hid beneath the bed to steal your India rubbers, but I cheered them up instead. Can you call out, 'Who is there?' I was thrown most in a fit, and I let the indelibles fall, all but this little bit. I'm sorry, my naughty ways. I'm sorry for my naughty ways. And now to make amends, I send the third piece back again and back with my big friends, Robert. Just listen to mine, said Jessie, who had all along pretended to be as much surprised as anybody, and now behaved as if she could hardly wait till Billy was finished. Then she read aloud to Jessie, "If I were a bird and you were a bird, what would we do? Why, you should be a little and I will be big, and side by side on a cherry tree twig, we kiss with our little bills and chew. That's what we do. If I were a fish and you were a fish, what would we do? We frolic and wish our little tails, and play out of tricks with the whales, and call on the oyster and order a stew. That's what we do. If I were a bee and you were a bee, what will we do? We find a home in a breezy wood, and start it with honey sweet and good. You shall with me and I shall with you. That's what we do." Valentine. "I think that the prettiest of all," said Clover. "I don't," said Elsie. "I think mine is the prettiest. Jessie didn't have any shell in hers either." And she folded the little shell, which all this time she held in her hand. "Katy, you ought to have read your first because you are the oldest," said Clover. "Mine is smart," replied Katy, and she read, "Toast red is red, the violet's blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you." "What a mean Valentine," cried Elsie, with flashing eyes. "It's a real shame, Katy. You ought to have had the best of all." Katy could hardly keep from laughing. The fact was that the verses for the authors had taken so long that no time had been left for writing a Valentine to herself. So, thinking it would excite suspicion to have known she had scribbled this all rhyme at the last moment. "It isn't very nice," she said, trying to look as pensive as she could, "but never mind. It's a shame," repeated Elsie, patting her very hard to make up for the injustice. "Hasn't it been a funny evening?" said John, and Dory replied, "Yes, we never had such a good time before Katy was sick, did we?" Katy heard this with a mingled feeling of pleasure and pain. "I think the children do love me a little more of late," she said to herself. "But oh, why couldn't I be good to them when I was well and strong?" She didn't open Cousin Helen letter until the rest were all gone to bed. I think somebody must have written and told her about the Valentine party, but instead of a note there were these verses in Cousin Helen on clear pretty hand. It was a Valentine because it was too solemn, as Katy explained to Clover next day. "But," she added, "it is a great deal beautifuler than any Valentine that ever was written." And Clover thought so too. These were the verses. "In school, I used to go to a black school where youth and frolic talk in turn, but either scholar that I was, I liked to play. I would not learn, so the great teacher did ordain that I should try the school of pain. One of the infant class I am, with little easy lesson, set in a great book, the higher class have farther one than I, and yet I find mine hard. I can restrain myself while studying to sweet pain. There are two teachers in the school. One has a gentle voice and low, and smiles upon her scholar as she softly passes to and fro. Her name is Love. This very plain she sounds the sharp teacher pen. Also, I sometimes think and then at other times they meet and kiss and look so strangely like that I'm puzzled to tell how it is, or whence the chance which makes it fun to guess if it be love or pain. They tell me if I study well and learn my lesson, I shall be moved upward to the higher class, where the love teaches constantly, and I work hard in hopes to gain reward and get away from pain. Yet pain is sometimes kind and help me on when I'm very dull. I thank him often in my heart. But love is far more beautiful under her tender, gentle range. I must learn faster than of pain. So I will do my very best, not cheat the clock, not call it slow, that when the teacher calls me up to see if I'm fit to go, I might to love high class attend and bid a sweet goodbye to pain."